Hello everybody, I'm back in your ears and back in front of you, as is Kathleen Davey, and this is our next webinar, and we've got a really good topic that we think this could actually be the crowd favourite. I think this topic, I don't know, I'll be really interested to see on the feedback. So here we are, we've got our Secret Agent Society thinking caps on, but look at our topic. Marketing magic to fill your SAS groups. So what we're going to be getting into is a whole range of strategies, some easy, some medium, some a little bit more challenging, and we've set it up that way specifically so that all the facilitators, all of the businesses, organizations out there can get a little bit of something, hopefully a lot of something actually, during the next 60 minutes or so as we kind of just get you thinking about some marketing activities that perhaps you just haven't thought of yet. Perhaps you tried last time but kind of didn't quite land. Perhaps you're looking for some new inspiration for the next round of groups that we anticipate that you will be running. Right, welcome Kathleen. Would you like to say hello and introduce yourself? We all know you, but we love to hear from you.
Sure, Kathy. My name is Kathleen Davey. I'm Chief Operating Officer and Clinical Psychologist at the Social Skills Training Institute, where we distribute the Secret Agent Society program. And part of our job is to support our SAS facilitators, our service providers to do the best job they can do in distributing in offering SAS to their families. And one of the things that I know some services really struggle with is how to get it out there and how to do that in a way that they feel comfortable with as usually an allied health or an education service provider. How do I let people know about SAS in a way that's effective and I feel comfortable with? So that's why we've got the marketing magic topic today, which is one of a series of webinars that we're recording to support our facilitators to be the best they can be.
Beautiful. I'm Cathy Love. I'm an occupational therapist by trade and training, but I now work as an allied health business coach. So I help allied health professionals and some educators run powerful, profitable businesses that make a difference to their teams, to their clients, and all of that really good, powerful stuff. So digging back into why we went to uni in the first place. So we're both aware that we have a global audience during this conversation, and there may just be a couple of moments where it's perhaps a little Australian centric, but we'll skip over that quite quickly because we have some unique funding systems that we need to acknowledge. But we're anticipating that the suggestions coming up in the next 20 million slides are going to have something for everybody, regardless of where you're up to business-wise, regardless of where you're up to in delivering and developing marketing campaigns and delivering the SAS program. So we've got a little bit of housekeeping first up, and certainly from my perspective, what I'll be providing is my best thinking on marketing based on what I know from the industry and my training and my own coaching work with mentors. But we do need to say that any material, content or resources shared and discussed in this SAS support webinar is general in nature and is used to guide service planning discussions and support only. The Social Skills Training Institute encourages all participants to think critically and appraise the content for their organisation and personal circumstances. The Social Skills Training Institute does not necessarily endorse content shared and accepts no liability or any consequences resulting from adhering to the content shared in this webinar.
Well done, Kathy.
Take a breath. Rarely do I present webinars when I read off the page, so I hope that felt natural and
totally
and enticing. Alrighty, business side of things done. Hey, let's get into it. So, I do wonder whether sometimes the marketing part of delivering SAS kind of doesn't get done as well or as easily as it could have, because it sort of gets really close to the edge of the too hard basket. I meet many allied health professionals who just are a little icky about this marketing business. It feels like a lot of work. It feels overwhelming. They seem to go to a lot of effort to then still be struggling to get those wonderful little people into their programs. And it's not about the program, because we already know that that is awesome. It just seems to be about the, well, how do I market it kind of stuff, and I'm not trained to do this, and I can't afford a marketing specialist, and I'm just a therapist, I'm just an educator, I'm just a facilitator, some of that kind of just language as well. So what I tend to hear about in my business coach conversations is haven't got time. I'm a little bit fearful of it not working and it just being a struggle. I'm a little bit concerned I might have to cancel because I've gone to all this effort and there just aren't enough people to make the group viable and powerful and you know, implemented the way it's meant to be. How do I make it cost effective? Is this going to cost me an arm and a leg? And so all of this sort of thinking just magnifies, often in the dark of night or often on a Friday afternoon or a Monday morning when we're perhaps most nauseous about this stuff. So what follows are really general suggestions, and your job as those that have to potentially put some marketing campaigns together is to pick out the bits that really resonate with you, pick out the bits that feel really, really doable, but also to acknowledge what you've already done in the past that has served you really, really well. We don't want this to be a baby and bathwater moment where you just completely disregard what has worked in the past. This is adding on or adding new or adding different. It could also be a little bit of reflection. Oh, I tried that, but I perhaps didn't carry through. Now I kind of understand why or what I could be doing differently. So our mission is to be helpful rather than prescriptive. And it's also to salute you for what you've done in the past that has worked really, really nicely. Were you going to say something, Kathleen?
No. I think I was just adjusting my chair.
Alrighty. So what is marketing? And I guess the question that follows it, do you like marketing? Sometimes we know what marketing is, sometimes we think we like it, but then we don't love it quite as much when it doesn't work. So it is a little bit of a mystery to many of us. And I was in conversation with a very, very wise business owner quite a few years ago. And he said, what happens if you swap out marketing and put in the word messaging? Is the word messaging a whole lot more comfortable? And I think he might be onto something. And I think when we hear the word messaging, it gives us permission to kind of shine out awesome and to really get comfy with the difference that we make in people's lives. In this case, the difference we make in regards to relationships and friendships and communication and empowerment and assertiveness and all of those great outcomes that tumble out of the SAS program in spades as the kids work through it. So I'm wondering if that's an interesting mind shift that you guys might like to think about, is to call it messaging. How do we message the program, the outcomes of the program? How do we kind of just take the salesy edge out of marketing and get our feet muddy and dirty in the messaging side of things?
I really like that, Kathy. That's really lovely terminology that changes the it really changes the focus and to the listener and to the messaging of what am I needing that person to hear, or does that person need to hear?
Yeah, cool. Thanks for taking up that space while I quietly choke over here. Goodness me. I think I did this last time. So the other reason that I wanted to put this slide here is permission to message and release of the tension and salesy bit of marketing. The other thing that I wanted you to have a think about is what it is we're actually messaging. And I want to jump to the very, very incredible Simon Sinek. Those of you who've listened to me on any other platform know I am a bit of a fan, bit of a business crush on that guy. So he has an amazing YouTube presentation. It's about 20 minutes. And he talks about the golden circles concept. So I'm going to draw it. If you can see, there's a little circle in the middle that has why. There's another circle around that has how. And then there's a bigger circle that has what. So we've got what, how, and why. And what Simon Sinek gets us thinking about is that as a rule, we're really, really cool, really comfy and fluent with messaging what we do. We're educators, we're allied health professionals, we're whatever we are, and we can rabbit on about that all day, every day. We're not always as strong and as consistent about messaging how we do it. Okay, so sometimes people have to start to join the dots cognitively themselves. So the how might be, well, we run groups, we run workshops, we run one-on-one sessions, we do A and B and C and so on and so forth. So sometimes people are a little curious about how do we do the what, okay? And where we really stumble is getting clarity and getting confidence on messaging why we do it. Why do we do what we do? And as I've done part of the SAS training, I've looked at the materials, and in preparing this, I see this why as being a huge underutilized secret sauce, secret ingredient to a lot of the messaging and marketing activities that you guys have the potential to get out to your referrers and to your market and to your future clients as well. So a little bit of homework if you're wanting to kind of think about this a bit more broadly. Simon Sinek, the Golden Circles concept, one of his early books, Start with the Why, has got this beautifully written up in one of the chapters. But for you to just think about some potential depth you can add to your marketing activities, what you do, how you do it, but most importantly, why you do it, okay? And I think that clarity really makes it so much smoother to market what we do, because all of a sudden we're not marketing ourselves, we're actually marketing the outcomes that we achieve with our clients, because that's usually where our why is sitting. So I'm going to apologize at this point because I'm going to use the word marketing because that's what I know and that's what I'm comfy using. If you want to be kind of checking me and converting it to messaging in your head, go for it. But if I swap to messaging now, it's just going to get messy. So marketing, messaging, you choose the adventure on that front. Right, we've talked a little bit about the why you do what you do, messaging the outcomes you get with the clients, what motivates you, what are your deep dark values and beliefs that sit in that space. That's going to be a little bit of a flavour that runs across the rest of the presentation. I get asked all the time, when should I be marketing? I'm wondering if any of you could guess what my reply might be. I suspect you can. When do you market? You are always marketing. Okay, so if we think about the SAS groups, they run for a certain number of weeks. They have a certain number of weeks follow-up. In our previous webinar, we talked about the pre-program activities that you do by way of productivity. So if you're stretching all of that out, I think it came to, was it 17 weeks? It was quite a while, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think that would be the minimum, really.
Yeah, and so if we multiply that out by 2 or 3 groups a year, you're always in some kind of phase of messaging out to your tribe, if you like. So if I'll just pull some quick examples, you might be taking expressions of interest, you might be sending out invitations, you might be running specific campaigns. We're getting into all of these in a few minutes. You might be wanting to kind of make some further connections in terms of referrers so that they're all warmed up and ready and supporting you for a group that you might be running in a couple of months' time. So I'm really going to suggest to you guys that there's possibly always a background hum in relation to these SAS groups that you can be warming up your audience on. Lots of ways you can do it. Doesn't have to be super, super complicated. And that takes a little bit of a pressure off a really tight campaign that might be kind of 6-9 weeks, 6 weeks or so before the group starts. So think of background marketing activities that can be ticking over all day, every day, that keep you front of mind for your current clients, your future clients, and your referrers as well. And so that sort of leans in a little to who you're going to be marketing to. And that's a bit of a piece of string question, and all of you listening will hopefully be energized to kind of map out a whole referrers network. I love mind mapping for this activity. You might have 10 referrers that are really appropriate for who know your future SAS clients. You might have 40. Doesn't matter. It's about what you've got and who your strong referrers are now and who the referrers are who don't even know about you yet. Some good fun to be had there as well. You're also going to be kind of, marketing this a bit to your team, marketing this to your current clients as well. So remember that there's a whole lot of people that need to know about the why and the outcomes of this program that are really, really almost under the roof. So don't forget about those guys as well.
I'd even add in certain organisations, people's managers or the people who allocate the funding for service delivery. This could even, I'm imagining, be applied to trying to seek funding for additional services from outside of your organisation.
Yeah, that referral mind map, oh my gosh, it really could be something that you're digging into every couple of months to keep it really fresh, keep it really, really up to date. And it takes off that pressure of, well, who do I email or who do I send it to? You've already kind of got it in the bank as such, in the data bank, and a bit of a list for who you can roll through. And it could be in Excel, it could be in your practice management software. You'll know where to store all of that good stuff. But I'd love to encourage you to go paper and pencil first and visually see the scope of it, and then transfer it to something that is a little more agile and usable. So we can revisit this why. I know I just mentioned it a couple of moments ago, but if I ask you the question, why do you do what you do? Why do you use the SAS program? Have you got a one-liner about that? Have you got a couple, maybe two really succinct sentences about it? Because sometimes when we're a little uncomfy about marketing, aka messaging, we can pretty quickly go into waffle mode where we're talking about a whole lot of stuff and it gets all diluted and it gets way longer than it should be. So I'm wondering about whether you actually have a pitch about why you use the SAS program, and is that a pitch that is pretty sharp, pretty to the point, not aggressive, but just a really solid statement about why you use the SAS program, and maybe another pitch about why clients will benefit from it. Okay, don't doubt for a moment that you haven't thought about this stuff, but have you actually got it out of here, out of that awesome space between your ears and documented? This can just make it really memorable for people when you're in conversation, and it's also going to make it so much easier for you to train your team. You're going to hear me talking about training your team all the way through this presentation, and they might be even more uncomfortable with this marketing business than you are. So to have some really nice short scripts, some power lines, bit of a pitch for different use in different contexts could really kind of boost up their confidence and their willingness to kind of share this piece as well. It's also that essence of the pitch, that essence of the why is also going to show up in a lot of places. We're about to talk about websites. We're about to talk about social media, email campaigns, all sorts of good stuff. And you want this really this gold nugget of why reappearing in a few different places. And that helps people remember you and remember why this program is so awesome. So it's a little bit of homework for you, is to get it down to a line, maybe two, and to practice pitching with it, and then to train your team about that pitch, and then to maybe get that one-liner appearing in different platforms. Kathleen, we didn't talk about this prior, but is there a tagline? Is there a really solid one-liner that can kind of get people started on this?
Yeah, I guess that's a really good place to start. So the SAS program is Secret Agent Society Solving the Mystery of Social Encounters is the official tagline for the program. So that could be a starting point. Also, our current main line on the main flyers and things is around empowering. So empowering social emotional resilience, or I've got our family flyer here that everyone gets complimentary printed copies of. It's probably back to front through the camera. But empowering your child to feel happier, calmer and braver.
Braver, yeah.
And this is marketed for or aiming at families who are thinking of being part of the program. So there's some things that might help spur some ideas.
Yep, cool. Yep. The word empowering just is magic, I think, with this program, based on what I know about it and based on the beliefs that so many people who work with children with different abilities kind of believe. So nice one to springboard off that. So you may have some of your homework already done for you, but you may also want to make it your own and work with your team about what your powerful message is going to be. Right, so the who knows your ideal client? So there's a couple of parts to this, this slide. It's about the who, and we've already done a little bit of conversation around the who. But the who knows your future clients is going to depend completely on your ability to define your ideal client. And the SAS program is quite specific with its age range, and you'll know how specific it is in terms of the kids' abilities to be able to get the most out of it. You know more about that profiling than I do. But we've got this interesting dynamic going on that the kids don't actually book themselves in or read about it on Facebook, and they probably don't pay the bill either. And so we've got this kind of layered bit that we're after the kiddos and we kind of know exactly who they are, but we're actually marketing probably to the mums. I'm thinking it's mainly mums that are making some of these purchase decisions. So to really know what those mums believe in, where they get information from, to understand the sources of truth that those parents lean towards, to have a bit of an idea about what sort of marketing they might respond to, where they're engaged, where they're in conversation. And so this goes back to that referrer's mind map. Who knows those future clients? Who specifically knows those mums who have those challenges and worry about those things and trust those people and get information off wherever it comes from? Probably a fair bit of Facebook would be my guess on that one. And so this is where that mind map explodes. And please, by way of homework, crack at least 20 people who know those future clients, who know those mums who are going to be the future parents of those wonderful kiddos coming into your SAS groups as well.
Cathy, do you mean individual people or types of people when you say who?
The referrer's mind map. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, that's exactly right. So rather than saying principals, get specific. You're going to know half a dozen principals. So think of mind map and think of principals, and then you might have 4, 5, 6 people's names hanging off that. So rather than saying pediatricians, get specific. You're going to know at least half a dozen pediatricians. Think of wellness coordinators. Think of allied health professionals, psychologists, social workers, whoever it is that you imagine knows those future clients. Have a branch and then get specific into people, because that's going to help you understand who you talk to next and who you personally reach out to, who you email, all of that good stuff. And in that referrer's mind map, there's going to be perhaps a separate branch or who will be our future SAS group members. Your current clients are going to be hanging in there, and you might have some real specific guys that you want to invite in, and you might have some past clients. They may not have done the group before, but you may have worked with them individually or in other group programs. So a bit of a recall strategy as well.
On that, I've personally had and heard of a lot of families who have older kids or adults themselves who, when they find out about SAS, I wish I had that when I was younger, or that would have been great to have for my child. So even that, where it may seem like a completely different cohort, there's often a lot of value of considering those people as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So that could be a separate branch. Families that we haven't connected with for a while. It's a great business strategy regardless, but yeah, there could well be just they're unaware of what's available now and that you're doing it, and yep, they already like and trust you and have worked with you previously. So yeah, that kind of is a wonderful service to be able to reach back to as well. Alrighty, so I'm hoping this slide has kind of got you thinking about your ideal client, the kiddo and the parent who's making the buying decision, and also the question of who knows these future parents who will be making the buying decision. So I hope at this point that you're thinking about buying big bits of paper or standing at your whiteboard and with coloured pens and getting this out of your head. You guys totally know this already. It's just tucked away on all those synaptic junctions. To get it out, get it visible is a really, really important place to start your marketing campaign, your messaging campaign, fulfilling those groups and being the change that you want for those kids.
Cathy, I might just add a little clarifying point for some people that might be confused or concerned. It's similar to the really lovely example of marketing is really messaging. There was a piece of terminology that you're using there in terms of the buying and the buyer. Just to clarify for people, what's being meant by this is choosing to access your service or a particular type of intervention for their child. It doesn't necessarily refer to them actually purchasing something or handing over money. It all depends on your type of service. So it's more around the decision to approach to enrol in SAS or to seek out SAS. That may be, I'm choosing to enrol my child in this particular school because I know that they offer SAS at that school. It's not that they're purchasing SAS. Or they may be doing it through their NDIS funding, which is still a money exchange, but it's not their direct money. So yeah, just want to clarify that terminology.
Good point.
It's nice and clear terminology of the cycle of what's happening, but some people might get confused.
Yep, no, good call. Cool. Oh, I'm just so glad you're here, Kathleen.
We're here together.
All right. Before you get super excited about your potentially 6-week marketing plan, you've got some decisions to make. So if you're going to be sort of warming up the crowd and sending out some expressions of interest, and we're going to be running a group, you really only want to you want to be economical with your energy, and you don't want to kind of fatigue the market, fatigue people. This sounds so obvious, but I see this coming across my Facebook feed quite often. And that's not being super clear on when the program's going to be running. So the day of the week, the times, how long it goes for. And I know you guys can make some decisions around that, given some of the flexibility SAS program. Also being clear on the program costs. And I think we've got another webinar coming up down the track about some of the profitability aspects to it. So have all of this decided up front. And I'm going to take this moment to get on my business coaching soapbox. I won't be on it for long. But if you're looking at a whole year, please do have a look at where those groups will be running right across the year. Sometimes I see a little bit of a short-term view happening with programs like this and with other general marketing programs. But if you're going to know you're going to be doing 4 of them across the year, 3 of them across the year, work them all out at once, because the work you're going to be doing on the back of this webinar with your new ideas is just going to be rinse and repeat. And you're going to be able to kind of repurpose so much of what you'll be planning for those other events across the year. It also gives you that little opportunity, oh, but we're away for those weeks. That's okay. It's starting again on the 15th of May. Goodness knows if the 15th of May is a Monday, but just picking a date from nowhere. So you're also got somewhere for people who can't do it now. You've got the next program, and you can sort of work them into the next program after that. So kind of obvious, pick the day, pick the time, pick the duration, sort the price, so you've got all of that stuff down. And if you're in conversation with people, you've got all the information ready to provide. What you're wanting to avoid is the "I'll get back to you with the details" bit, because that's an extra job for you. People are wondering and waiting, and they may be kind of deciding to do other things while they're wondering and waiting. So yeah, stating the obvious, but sometimes the obvious isn't so obvious. Alrighty. The other reason for having a whole year planned out, Kathleen alluded to this, if there's funding implications, if they're needing to obtain funding, whilst you might have a campaign of 6 weeks before the next group, some people might need 6 months to organise their funding. Such as the topic of funding, let's not start on that one, but they might need some lead up time. And if they know there's one in May, if they know there's one in September, you can help them along on that funding adventure so that they're ready to rock and roll when all of that stuff is done. So yeah, marketing takes a bit of time, and it can, please keep listening after this slide. Just don't pause and kind of run to Simon Sinek just yet. Marketing takes time, and after this webinar you might sort of think, oh my gosh, it's still just too much. But think about what I said. If you're running the group 3 times, the SAS program 3 times across the year, I'm pretty confident that you can reuse 90% of your marketing activities for each campaign. When I talk about campaign, I'm talking about that 6 weeks. That's typically a pretty good solid time. You can reuse that same content in the run up to your May group, your September group. So we're talking about a bit of effort, a bit of energy, a bit of a build up front that you will be able to reuse. There's going to be some obvious things you change: date, cost, time, duration, all of those sorts of things. But I think you'll be pretty proud of yourself, and you will feel absolutely delighted when you can reuse all of this marketing activity, content, so on and so forth, on and on thereafter, just adjusting it as it needs to be. So imagine, and we talked about this in the productivity webinar, we talked a bit about project management, we talked a bit about having timelines, and your marketing activities, your marketing plan is perfect for a great big long timeline. And you've got to remember, I'm an OT, so I'm super visual, and I can't believe there's no post-it notes within arm's reach right now, otherwise I would be reaching for them. But imagine that 6 weeks. Draw it all out, or open it out in a old-fashioned paper and pencil calendar. What is it that you can be doing day by day in those 6 weeks? What is it that you can be doing week by week in those 6 weeks prior? So that gives you a fair bit of time to get a variety of marketing activities done. So let's just quickly off the top of my head, you could have a couple of Facebook posts going out a week. You could have an email campaign going out once a week. You could have some videos going out. You could have some phone calls made, not by you, but we're going to talk about training your team. You can have phone calls going out on certain days of the week. So imagine a whole 6 weeks times 7 days, or probably 6 weeks times 5 days. That gives you at least 30 days where you can be having some really gentle, really rolling, really cumulative marketing activity happening, rather than that that panicked 10 days out, we need 3 more kids kind of thinking. It would be really lovely for you to have all of your little SAS seats sold a good couple of weeks beforehand, and maybe even selling into the programs that are happening further and further down the year.
Kathy, we haven't talked about this before, but just listening to that, I'm also thinking in a creative way, I'm thinking this could also be helpful for the services who have wait lists. Like, there are some people who, yes, are wanting to attract more people, and there's some people that struggle to manage with very long SAS wait lists, but the messaging and the communication plan can still be in place for those people, just with a different message. Yeah?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, great idea on the wait lists, because they could be kind of filling into a whole series of groups across the year, and you could be filling groups almost with one, you could be filling more than one group with just one campaign. I think we could just leave them to it at this point. That sounds cool. I'm a big fan of leveraging technology. So to round out this particular slide, have a think about how you can get this campaign stuff, the campaign messaging that we're talking about, out of your head onto paper first, but then potentially onto pixels. So I'm a big fan of Trello. Many of you may know Trello. Trello is perfect for team-based project management. You can have all your Trello lists and cards and activities set up, and you can reuse it for every campaign. Asana may be your tool of choice. You may love other programs. I know we're a global community, and there might be crowd favorites in different parts of the world, but as your marketing thinking matures, think about a permanent cloud-based location for all of this great thinking, so that you're not scampering around trying to find things when you're ready to kind of relaunch with the next opportunity. So now we're going to get into some really general marketing suggestions. And as I said earlier, don't discard what you've already done, and what works a treat. This is just some extra thinking, it's some confirmation thinking, it's some reflective thinking. It's really for you to pick the bits that resonate, that you really think will give you the most marketing leverage possible in your next round of setting up a SAS group as well. So these are in no particular order. So yeah, you'll find the good bits. Oh, Kathleen, this is probably one you should make some noise about as well. This is kind of a bit of a no-brainer, I suggest. I'm just going to leave the slide there. Do you want to chat to this one?
Sure. So hopefully those of you who want to be publicly found, searched, by families, for example, if you want parents to come and find you online, hopefully you've logged into your SAS Facilitator portal account and filled in the public section where you get to tick the box and say, yes, I want to be found on the Find a Provider service. Because our website has this Find a Provider service that parents are channeled into to put in their address or their postcode, and up pops a map and a list of who are their nearest providers, which you can choose what details they see, and you can put in your website or your intake number, and they can link straight through to your intake information, your SAS group information, and you totally choose what the information is that's there. So you log in, you might edit the number that they're ringing. You might choose to, let's say you have a big long wait list and you don't want anyone to contact you for a moment. You can take yourself off the Find a Provider and then put yourself on at the right time. Yeah, I guess that's the main thing here, is that we have this service. We have many families who contact us from all over the world. How do I get my child through this program? We will go straight to the Find a Provider service, because even though we might know that there's a trained provider running SAS in Sydney, in a particular suburb near Sydney, in Australia, but if they're not publicly listed, we can't provide those details to them. If you haven't said to us, yes, publicly share our details, we can't tell the parents that you're there. So make sure you're up to date, you've ticked the box to make yourself visible, go back in and test it, search yourself, put in the suburb and country, see if you come up, if it clicks through to the correct website. But that is a service there ready for you as well.
Oh, too good to refuse that one. And I bet it gets lots of traffic as well, because it would just rate so well naturally with SEO and the words and all of that. Cool. Alrighty, which is a really decent segue into website wonderfulness. And yeah, I might just jump on my soapbox just for 20 seconds. How awesome is your website? Is it fresh? Is it succinct? Is it up to date? Have you optimized it for SEO? And that gives me permission to make this wild suggestion. Would you consider having a landing page for your SAS groups? So a landing page can be a landing page or an extra web page. Let's put both options in so we don't drown in the marketing technology vocabulary at least. So imagine how useful a page on your website that is all about the SAS. You can have why in there, you can have the pitch that you've sort of developed, you can have links to the SAS website, you can also have when your next groups are, or the next 3 groups that are going to be happening. You can have potentially some downloadable invitations and documents on there as well. I'm even going to suggest you can have some video that could be you talking about the program, because we know that video is king on the internet, and probably will be for quite some time as well. You could even have a payment gateway if you've got it really, really sorted. You could actually make it so easy that people go there, land there, get the message really quick and clear and say, oh my gosh, booking straight in, even if it's for a deposit. That might be a really cool thing that those customers are looking to kind of progress while they're there. They know they've been looking, they've found you, straight on through, and you can follow them up afterwards as well. The other interesting thing about a page on your website is that with the other marketing that we're going to talk about out in social media, you can provide a link in Facebook that people click and it brings them back to this page on your website. And so that's kind of interesting, because you don't have to be repeating lots of information in Facebook. You can say, you can have a, enticing, compelling couple of sentences, read more, clickety click, they're back on that special SAS page on your website. But they might also have a little bit of a look around on your website while you're there. So yeah, they're getting that awesome SAS juice, but they're also just kind of able to answer some other questions as well. So this is going to be great for SEO, search engine optimization. And you can maybe get, or you might be really cool at this yourself, but to get a little bit of help about the text and the words of that page, so it naturally rates and it naturally comes up really high in organic kind of Google searches for those future customers that when they're looking for you in the dark of night.
On that topic, Kathy, if you're separate to making sure it's all written nicely for websites, if you want us to, if you're not sure if you're writing about the program correctly or things like that, feel free to send through your example copies, your scripts that you're thinking of putting on your website, and we'll have a read through and let you know that everything's okay, or give you some suggestions. We can't necessarily do the review in the way that Kathy was just saying, to make sure it's written in the right language for websites and all that. But in terms of SAS content, do use us to help you with that.
That's very generous. I'm just thinking you're going to be inundated.
Also have a look on the website. How do we write about the program on our website?
Yeah. And it could lead to some... Go on.
We have a couple of videos on our website that you can link to with your website. I know Kathy mentioned your own videos, which would be awesome if in the meantime, what you could do is we have the 2-minute computer game trailer. We also have an award video from the CRC Association that has a snapshot of different elements. And there's a video of the author, Dr. Renee Beaumont, giving a TEDx UQ talk on the development of the program, because it was originally her PhD. It's around that stage of her life.
Wow. So you've got a whole starter kit, really. And I guess it's about reaching out to your techies, your webbies, to get this page up and running. You've pretty much got everything you need to get it looking gorgeous. I also wanted to add on here, some of you might be familiar with this, but if you've got this page on your website, you can also get something from Facebook called a pixel, a retargeting pixel, and that can sit in the tech kind of build behind the web page, so that when people land on it, Facebook knows that they've landed on your website page, and then there will be some pop-ups in their feed when they're next on Facebook. So this is free. It's not super complex to do. But if you've ever wondered why you've been on ASOS and about to buy some white sandals, and then for the next 48 hours all you see on Facebook is those white sandals, that is a Facebook retargeting tool, and it can be used for good, not just necessarily evil white sandals, but it starts to explain why you sort of feel as though you're being stalked. So we're all in the commercial sandpit together with this. This could be something that just gives you a little bit of a extra oomph in your campaign. So yeah, who knew? Alrighty, so landing page, SEO, keywords, video content from the SAS treasure chest. You've got access to potentially your own video downloadables, and maybe the Facebook retargeting pixel has spiked your curiosity. You're probably all dashed to Facebook to find out about that now. So we will continue. Come back to us when you're done. Content marketing. So content is anything you read and anything you hear and anything you see. And this, for many of us in this field, is going to look like blogs, newsletters. It might be some other videos that you produce around the SAS and the why and the outcomes on top of what you got access to. It could also be an email campaign, an email sequence. We've all received these, and you know, we're invited and kind of enticed and coerced and maybe even sold into whatever the person is kind of promoting. And these can work for SAS. They can be really genuine and helpful. They can be really short and sweet and specific. So if you have a database, if you've got potentially tens or hundreds of potential future SAS members, maybe have a think about how an email campaign could work as well. Many of the practice management software systems link to programs like MailChimp, which is perfect. And MailChimp can then give you a whole lot of metrics about who opens and who doesn't. You can resend to unopened emails. So there's a whole lot of good stuff sitting in email campaigns as well. So don't be frightened. They can be really simple and they can be really successful and a really lovely value add. Regardless, we're looking for sales and we're looking to fill those SAS spots, but good value as well. I'm also going to lob in here podcast. So don't panic. Don't click out. It's all good. It's all good. A podcast as part of your marketing campaign for SAS could be 5 or 6 audio clips. Doesn't have to be hours. It could be 5 or 6. Think of that 6-week campaign. It could be 10, 15, 20 minutes about a particular element of the SAS program, a particular expected outcome, a particular part of the fun of it, a particular part of the joy you have in being a facilitator. It could be, based on a couple of little topics. And guess what? Once you've done it, you can record it on Zoom, or you can probably record it on your phone. You can reuse this again. And you can have a whole lot of fun with a little mini podcast. It can be sitting on that landing page. It can be part of your email campaigns. So all completely reusable. Terrifying though it may seem, I'm yet to meet anybody who works with children who hasn't got something to say. So it could be a really good way of capturing those thoughts without having to repeat yourself. A chatty bunch. Wouldn't you say, Kathleen?
Yes, I would.
Alrighty, so I know that the SAS have provided you with a super cool, super powerful slide deck, PowerPoint slide deck, with the intention that this can be used for, I think it's about an hour and a half or 2 hours, but it's editable, isn't it? That... Go on.
Yeah, I would say an hour and a half to 2 hours, but you can probably do it in an hour if you weren't allowing any questions and you didn't expand on anything. But I think it's lovely as a 2 hours if they've got lots of questions from the people.
Yep.
But yeah, you don't have to do it all. It's a template of a do-it-yourself community information session on SAS.
Yep, and as you rightly pointed out when we were prepping for this that this can also be used to help with funding and understanding the program and where that investment is going to go and what it will hopefully, probably, most definitely be leading to in terms of empowering kids to be happier, calmer and braver down the track. So you've got access to that. You might also be really interested in running some information, using it as the basis for some information nights that you might run at your organisation or business. You might be able to engage some educators and go out to schools, other allied health businesses, so on and so forth, to share this message. What I've got there is what's in it for me with them. So this is where it gets a little kind of marketing messagey. And so it's not that you're going out to talk about how awesome you are. We know that. That doesn't need any further further magnification. But it's going out to talk about what's in it for me. So what's in it for the educators that you might be talking to? What's in it for the allied health professionals that you might be talking to it? And it's what's in it for them as potential future referrers, but also what's in it for the kids. What's in it for the parents first, what's in it for the kids, maybe even what's in it for the siblings. And so we've got this layered of what's in it. You're not just talking about what the program is. You're getting into the how, because the how is so super structured and beautifully organised for you in the SAS program, but you're getting into the why and the impact and the what's in it for the referrers, the families and the kiddos themselves. So I haven't actually been through that whole slide deck, guilty, but I'm sure it's super, super comprehensive. But you may be wanting to put your own flavour on it based on that pitch we talked about earlier, based on a tagline that you might have massaged a little bit, so that it's really, really relevant and really compelling as you're delivering this content. Educating people anyway is always incredible, but to really leave them with the message of, oh my gosh, that's amazing, with the way it reaches and changes and has an impact.
I think it's great in terms of really tailoring it for what your purpose is for that presentation, because it is quite generic and it's more program focused, so that it can be applied to all sorts of situations. Yep. So yeah, totally endorse that, Cathy.
Yep. Bring it down to what you need and the message that you're wanting to deliver. Alrighty, so I'm thinking of the age group of the kiddos coming into the SAS program. Invitations are really important at that age group. And do you remember back then, it was a long time for me, but do you remember when you look in your school bag and there was an orange envelope and it was so-and-so's party and oh my gosh, you were invited. And so you can kind of leverage on this social curiosity and also this developmental stage that these kiddos are at. So don't be shy. You can really theme it up within the SAS beautiful umbrella, as you know, secret invites, personal invites, handwritten, special cards, whatever it is. I'm just going to let your imaginations run completely wild. My only caution is to check it with the mums and dads and the families first, because you don't want the kids to be super excited, but then to have a bit of a challenge, a bit of a barrier in place that we can't do it now, or the funds are still coming through, or whatever. But you might even want to send a personal invite to families to, you know, spike their curiosity a bit as well. But think back about those kiddos that you're already working with. How can you extend a really personal phone call, email, card, letter, whatever it looks like, and then you can follow that up to a really specific one to individual kids. I think this is so old-fashioned, and it's, you know, back to the day of pen and paper. But I think it could work really nicely.
I think it could too, Cathy, and I could imagine, to help with the caution you had there, things like it's a personal invitation. Let's say it's an existing client or an old client that you think this would be good for when you start running SAS. It's a personal invitation to the family that inside has the special orange envelope, or, you know, equivalent.
Yep.
If the parents can hand to the child, that is like a "Are you interested?" invitation, you know, and it's all done very cool. So then the kids are motivated from the first exposure.
Yep. Yeah, that works.
Very cool.
Alrighty, social media strategy. Now we could be here for the next 3 days going through this, so I'm just taking a real fly over the top approach to it. I'm sure you guys have got that background hum of social media presence, that you're showing up online in different social media platforms already. And so if we put the 6-week marketing campaign in the context of what you're already doing, and also in the context of if you invest some time developing some SAS specific content, that can reappear. That can reappear again later in the week. The algorithms of Facebook are such that not everyone in your following receives anything like all of your content. So I'm pretty confident in saying you're not going to fatigue anyone. But if you've got some really lovely numbers in your Facebook, in your Instagram, Twitter, wherever, Pinterest, wherever you're showing up, it could be a really, really good opportunity to develop a suite of SAS specific posts. And off the top of my head, this could be some blogs, it can be some mini blogs. If you don't know Canva, Canva.com, make it your friend, because Canva can help you make beautiful images. You can have quotes, you can have photos on there, you can have them branded to your business, so on and so forth. And these can be scheduled in that 6-week campaign and messaged really, really nicely, and probably a little bit more frequently than what you might think. You might think you might want to put it in weekly. I'd probably be putting it in 2 or 3 times a week in this campaign. It's not all going to be salesy. It's going to be information. Did you know we're running this program? And then maybe the third post, perhaps later in the week can be, yeah, you can book now. Give us a ring, click here, however you've got your sales process kind of sorted out. It's really, really good information for people to understand, good education anyway, and it can be a little bit salesy. It's going to have to be a little bit salesy. You're wanting people to phone, to email, to let you know. You're wanting to kind of fill those seats. So it's okay. It's all good. It's okay. Nothing bad is going to happen. So we call that a call to action, a CTA, telling people what you want them, or what they should be doing. Give us a call, email here, click through, download this, bring it in when you come in, whatever your call to action is as part of your sales and transaction bit. It's okay to tell people what to do. It's in the context of caring. Most of the time it's okay to tell people what to do. In social media, you've only got, I think, about 3 seconds to grab their attention. So you're wanting that call to action to kind of be part of that 3 seconds, or to at least be raising curiosity. Kathleen.
Cathy, you might be going to talk about this elsewhere, or it may be a completely different topic. But I also find or think that social media and those strategies that you're suggesting could also be really good opportunities to get people talking and sharing about SAS further.
Yeah.
So maybe your clients or kiddies or families or referrers who have had an experience with SAS with you, and that they're sharing their thoughts or their experiences. We get a lot of parents sharing first-time sleepovers and finally have a friend, and all those kind of lovely stories that then help to give you a good reputation as a good SAS provider as well. You just need to be able to moderate that as well.
Yep, absolutely. And there's probably a little bit of tension, at least in Australia, about when something becomes a testimonial.
Yeah.
Jury is a bit out on that, but I'm really comfy with customer comment, customer story, when they're talking about their experience of it and the outcomes that they received as well. So all of you listening will have your own level of comfort about that, and your own obligations with your professional associations around the world and wherever. But conversation is really cool, and Facebook,
and they can be on sharing to their friends.
Yep. So don't be shy. It might feel like quite an assertive, salesy campaign. Not everyone's going to get it. It's value add, it's helpful, it's interesting. And think about that call to action and getting specific about what action you want people to take as a result of seeing your post. Oh, here's the scary one again. So if you've got a smartphone, you can make a video, and that video can be on any of those social media platforms within seconds or certainly minutes. And you may be really bold. You might be going for the Facebook Live. Please do, because Facebook loves it and it's going to have really good reach. Instagram TV, you might have had a little read about that, and I'm sure you're seeing some Instagram TV feed happening when you're on that awesome platform as well. So whilst you can't really repurpose either of them, a quick 90-second video that you do on your smartphone, you're just going to have strong arms unless you want to go the selfie stick or some other apparatus. You can reuse that time after time. And if you're doing that quick video yourself, if you don't like it, just delete, have another go, have another go, have another go. So video is king. All the social media platforms love original video. It just rates really, really well. You may want a YouTube channel. Don't know. Go for it. Never say never. Have a good look at it and see if that's for you in terms of the way you want to market and share the message about what AS achieves as well. Oh, I wonder who's going to be doing videos. I think we'll all be doing videos in years to come, but we'll see. Okay, so it's kind of going a bit of full circle on this. Remember, we talked about your ideal client, mind mapping out your referrers, and they're the guys that know your future clients. What you then have to do is to make it as easy as possible for those referrers to talk about and message and get really good material into the hands of those mums and dads who will be making the purchase decision. And this is where the flyers are gold. You get a certain number, I think, with the training. You can order more. These are really professional. And this one, which is going to be backwards, has a spot on the back where you can put your business, a sticker or a stamp. You just got to believe us that it's all lovely, because it's going to look a bit weird back to front. So yeah, great professional content, aligned on brand, but you can customize it and making it easy for referrers to say, oh my gosh, take this, I think this could be great. Phone these guys, we've met them, we know them. Yeah, you guys take it from there. I also quite like tear-off pads. I know they're super old-fashioned, but when I had my business, I went and talked to all the referrers. A lot of our referrers were medicos, and they said, we lose business cards, we lose brochures, but the tear-off pads was something that they were familiar with, because they didn't all end up getting dispersed. It was a big chunky thing that they could reach for. Find out what your referrers want by way of marketing collateral and make it easy for them to hand something to the person in front of them about the SAS program and getting in touch with you.
Cathy, if they're getting those, if they're getting the tear-off pads as an example, professionally printed up with their own details on them, you could also include one of the images that we provide in the portal, the SAS images with the characters and the logo. If it's a specific SAS referral pad, or it's one of the options on the referral pad, you could get that printed up on there as well. So it's all
could be co-branded,
really
so on brand with SAS, but have your own logo, have a really good call to action, really simple, really simple. It doesn't have to be too much wordy content on there as well. Yeah, of course, the logos will make it look great. Think about whether you have a separate newsletter and email campaign for certain types of referrers. It could be the doctors really just want something a little bit different. Educators might want something a bit different. Allied health professionals want a little bit different. It's not that you're writing out 3 different newsletters. You're just adjusting the 10% that is nuanced to them. And things like MailChimp just make all of that a dream. You can segment your database pretty quickly and easily. Think about posters for waiting rooms. That's a visual. It's where parents are sitting waiting. They're probably on their phone. I know I've sat in a waiting room and taken photos of things and followed up later. So that could be an interesting one. You might also want to think about whether referrers, future referrers, would like a little mini media kit that they can share on their social media, or that they could share in their newsletters out to their groups as well. That could also be done pretty easily with some images and some little blurbs and some links to that landing page and so on and so forth. So expecting them to do all of that on your behalf, maybe a little steep, but you could certainly ease it up by providing that little kit for them to use as well. Right, so I hope you're still all with us and that you're not kind of heading into overwhelm. We're going to pull you out of there, because there's a really good chance you don't have to do all of this marketing yourself, all of this messaging yourself. And what role you may have in this is you may be the architect, okay? You may be the person that designs that 6-week campaign. You do a little bit of the building, but I'm sitting here with my fingers crossed that you've got some really cool team around you that can help you deliver it, that can help you write up the newsletter content, that can help you write up all of those series of social media posts, that can help you find great images, that can get into Canva, that can go out and do some meet and greets and hand out, post out, check up on where all of the flyers and tear-off pads or whatever, where it all ends up. So I'm hoping you've got an in-house team that you as the architect can kind of do the overall design, but you can actually delegate some of the work and some of the follow-up too. And remember that a lot of the design work is a once-off, pretty much a once-off build that you'll be able to reuse as well. So some of your in-house team may need a bit of training, okay? And that's all right, that's completely to be expected. But for you to just think about what that training looks like and to pace that out and to support people as they're out and about and messaging and delivering that marketing content that perhaps they're a little bit uncertain about. It takes a bit of time, but it doesn't have to be super, super uncomfy or salesy or difficult or any of that good stuff. You might also want to engage an external specialist if you're really wanting to get into the Facebook bit. Maybe get someone in to help you, to run some adverts, to show you how to boost posts, to give a bit of feed forward about the content and the images that you're planning to use. That could be a really good investment, and it really helps you get it right, or as right as possible right from the start, so then only minor adjustments are needed going forward. They'll also help you understand the metrics and the reports that you get, because you're wanting to know that what you're putting out there is actually working and is being literally registered at your front desk, with parents expressing interest and kiddos getting signed up as well. So it's okay to take, in fact, it's absolutely essential, I think, quite often to take a team approach to this and to purchase in a little bit of expertise as required. So we're done. We're done with the content. I've had the easy bit here. I've been able to kind of share up some ideas that are interesting. Some of them are a bit way out. Some of them you're already doing. And your job now is to take a moment to check back over your notes. What have you been scribbling down? What have you been drawing? What have you been even actioning as we've gone through? So what I'd love you to do is to pick out perhaps the top 3. I'd love to say 5, but I'm just going to manage myself and say pick your top 3 marketing messaging activities that you think will make the most difference for you the next time that you're running a campaign for your SAS group. So I'm just going to give you some thinking time on that one. You never know how long to wait, do you? All right, that's it. Hope you got your 3. Now you've got to make marketing happen. Okay, so it's going to take some time. All right, we know that, but it's a solid investment up front that you can reuse. I don't know how many times I've said that. I hope you're starting to believe it. Reach for your diaries, block in an hour, maybe 90 minutes, so that you can think about this 6-week campaign and what it's going to look like for you and your team and your organization. In my experience, unless you block it into the calendar and literally make an appointment with yourself, it may not happen. And then you're in a flurry of last-minute marketing to fill the group. It can be a lot more fun and a lot easier than that. Then perhaps have a look at your diary, perhaps a couple of weeks later or a week later, in terms of who is going to be helping you with the marketing, whether you're going to engage someone externally or whether you're going to start the campaign build with your team in-house. So they're probably the 2 initial steps that you would be wanting to think about. You being the architect and designing it, B, working it through with the team, and delegating. I hope all of that sounds good and useful. Kathleen, is there anything extra you'd love to add?
Only that we are here to help as well. So even if it's just checking in with us, do you have something like this that could help us? Anything, we can always give you some direction. With, the worst case is we can say, no, sorry, we don't have that, but this is where I think maybe you could get some help with it. So do use us. This is part of our job, is to help you to get your program out there and to help you to do it as best you can, as I said earlier. So please don't be afraid to contact in, or to give us ideas of things that you think we could provide as support. Like we have the facilitator support section on the portal that has your images that you can put on your website and your newsletters, on your referrer pads, and the information session slides, the family flyers that Cathy was showing you. If you have other ideas of things that you think would make a big difference for you, please do let us know. An example of how that has evolved, something that we now provide. We have a template, an SAS branded and all SAS themed conference poster template. So those of you who have done applied research studies or have done little other have gathered information that you want to present at a conference and presenting it as a poster, we can actually help you to populate that information into this poster already, and it'll all look great. So that's something that's come from people asking us to help out a few times. So yeah, do ask.
Alrighty, we are done.
Thank you so much, Cathy. That was, I think, really useful. Lots and lots of different messaging techniques that we can use directly with families, even with kids, with referrers and funding bodies. Thank you so much. It's been very valuable. Remembering we've let you know there's quite a few of these webinars getting recorded on various topics. The last one was stealth tips for productivity behind the scenes. This one was your marketing magic. We've got another one on profitability coming up. So do look out for more webinars.
Beautiful. Over to you guys. Enjoy. See ya.